Namaste, Jai Kali, Jai Mahadev, Jai Bharat. I hope everyone is doing good and taking good care of themselves. Remember, if you're fit and fine, you can take better care of your loved ones. I hope you all must be liking all the videos that I'm making on psychology, mental health, and wellness. And yes, today I'm going to talk about ADHD. We all must have heard this somewhere or the other. Either someone is suffering from ADHD or their child is suffering from ADHD. So now first let me explain you what ADHD stands for. Now ADHD stands for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So now what it is a kind of a mental health disorder. Now again, I would want to clarify here, there are various kinds of mental health diseases and disorder, and that doesn't have to be being lunatic or crazy, right? So these all are psychiatric and psychological disorders and issues. And yes, person leads a normal life, but they have a lot of challenges. So now coming back to ADHD. So ADHD is basically a mental health disorder that includes a combination of persistent problems, such as difficulty paying attention, then hyperactivity, impulsive behavior, and also because of this ADHD in children, when they grow up being adult, that impacts their unstable relationship. I mean, that one of the impacts of a child suffering from ADHD is that they have got unstable relationship in future. Work quality that they do is not that good. It's a poor work quality that they deliver. And also apart from that, the children suffering from ADHD also face challenges in their studies. They don't perform well, they have low self-esteem issues, and the problem goes on. So ADHD, I mean, briefly, I have explained you guys. So I don't know whether you are suffering or someone you know might be suffering. So this video is to understand what ADHD is and what challenges the person who suffers from ADHD face. Now the symptoms. Now let's come to the symptom. I have briefly explained what ADHD is and how children with ADHD, how growing up being adult, the ADHD also impacts their adult life. Now let's understand what are the symptoms, various symptoms. Now first and most important symptom is people suffering from ADHD are very impulsive. They just want it then and there, and that's it. They can't wait, I mean, they don't have patience. I mean, they're impulsive with, I mean, everything in life. Impulsive with eating, drinking, doing chores, or in their relationship, or in any challenges, or daily activities. They are very impulsive. They just have to do, and they just rush into it. The second sign or symptom of ADHD is disorganization and problems prioritizing. So people suffering from ADHD are very disorganized. They are never organized. I mean, they're never organized in their personal life, or their personal space is not organized, and also they are unable to prioritize things. So I mean, they don't have, they rather have a very subdued you can say way of looking at things and prioritizing things, what is necessary and important. They're just, I mean, they get into haphazard activities. I mean, as it is, they are very disorganized, but they really don't know what their priority is. So I mean, if their priority is to eat healthy, they might just overeat, or they might just not eat. That is just a small example. And apart from that, if they have to do something in life, they might not consider that as priority and do something else which can be a second priority or third priority. So I mean, they're unable to identify which is more important. So that is, you can say, the clouded state of mind that they have. And the next point is poor time management skills. So people with ADHD either just go on doing things. I mean, they're very bad in managing time. I mean, it's quite challenging for them to manage time. So I mean, like, either they'll get over involved and exhausted and over consume time into it, or either they, just get drawn into it, or they just do it. I mean, if something requires more time, they just try to wrap it up in less time, and something which requires less time, they might land up spending more time into it. So I mean, poor time management skills is one of the symptoms. The other symptom is they are very poor in, they have got trouble in multitasking. Suppose if they are focused in one thing, they'll just do that. They can't, if you'll ask them to do something else, they might just mess it up, or they might not be able to function properly. So that is the other symptom of ADHD, where multitasking becomes a little bit challenging for them, because they just get engrossed. They are very linear, they get engrossed into one thing, and I mean, to hell with the rest that is around. So that is one challenging aspect. The other problem is, or other symptom for ADHD is that either they're excessive activity, with them, or there is just, restlessness. So they are never balanced. So people with ADHD have a problem, in balancing things. Either they just overdo, or they just give up. So I mean, that is one of the symptoms of ADHD. Apart from that, again, they are very poor when it comes to planning. So I mean, they might plan things on, I mean, like, for some time momentarily, but when it comes to the execution part, it's like a mountain for them, moving mountain. So overall, if you see, they are very poor in planning things. I mean, either they might plan, they might not execute, or they might plan something, they might execute something else, or I mean, it doesn't work out for them. So they need support. And apart from that, the other symptom of ADHD is low frustration tolerance. So I mean, we all do get frustrated at one point, but people with ADHD really freak out when anything is frustrating them. So I mean, either they just give up, or they just shout at it, or they just cut themselves off from that topic or subject. So they have got very low tolerance towards frustration, or anything that is causing frustration. Apart from that, ADHD, people who are suffering from ADHD have got frequent mood swings. So one time, for an instance, they might be really happy. The other time, they might be overwhelmed, and they might be crying, they might be sad. So there is quite a lot of this ups and downs when it comes to the mood for people suffering from ADHD. The other symptom is, they have got even a problem in following through and completing tasks. So suppose if a plan is laid out, they are unable to follow that plan which is laid out also. So I mean, if I have to say it in a simple way, in ADHD, it becomes difficult for the patient, or the person suffering from ADHD, to follow instructions. So even if the instruction is late, they won't be able to follow it throughout, right? So they might go here and there when it comes to following the instructions and completing the task. So I mean, like, people do have all these kind of challenges, but the most important thing is how we can overcome these challenges and keep moving forward and make our lives better and lead a better quality of life. Giving up is not the solution. Always be reminded of that. And the last two symptoms are that people suffering from ADHD have, hot temper. They get really angry quickly. I mean, like a tiny, kick or a push or insinuation, and they just, flame up into anger. So they have got a hot temper. People suffering from ADHD, because they have a little less tolerance, and I mean, you can say it is an amalgamation or the accumulation of various things like insecurity and frustration. So all of that concocts into hot temper outbursts. So that is one of the symptoms for ADHD patients. And the last one is people with ADHD really cannot handle stress. They have trouble coping with stress. I mean, they just freak out, they just give up. See, I don't mean to say that just take stress so that you are not a person suffering from ADHD or anything like that. Stress, we all experience stress, but we need to, I mean, stress, let me put it in a word which is much more pleasant, as an obstacle. So we all have to overcome the obstacle. We all have to focus on the goal rather than just focusing on the obstacle. But when it comes to people suffering from ADHD, the obstacle, I mean, like becomes so big that they are just closed. The stress becomes so unmanageable that they just give up, or they just snap or crack up. So for ADHD people, I would say, I mean, for a common person to understand ADHD is that they are very sensitive people. And ADHD, see, there are various factors that causes ADHD: childhood trauma, emotional abuse, and you can say it is in some of the cases it is there by birth. I mean, like it's there. So ADHD can happen right from the childhood, or it can happen later in life. I mean, whatever it is, it's quite a challenging thing. So if you know such a person, show compassion towards them. And if you know someone close who is having all these signs and symptoms, please do advise them to seek therapy and counselor support. I'm sure that is going to help them control themselves better and improve their life better. And if you have any such symptoms, please do talk about it, seek help. And if you need any help from me, you can always mail me at sarakhankalidasi@gmail.com. And yes, please do like, share, subscribe this channel, and share this video with a lot of people whom you think they might be having, or someone they know might be suffering from ADHD. And yes, let's create awareness. And mental well-being should be our first foremost priority in life. Once we are happy, we can make others happy. So yes, please take care of yourself. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much. Bye.